Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First Investigates.
It's my property, you know. You don't have the right to take.
A couple fights to keep their family land.
I didn't consent to be searched. I got right off the plane here.
Drug agents ordered to suspend random searches at airports.
Anybody who knows me knows how bad that I want a grocery store over here. We live in a food desert.
High insurance costs for businesses trickle down to your wallet. A family waits years for an accused killer to stand trial.
That's one of the most important videos in everything he did.
It shows to you that
he knew better.
Elderly loved ones losing their life savings to scammers. Atlanta News First investigates. Welcome to Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First Investigates, as we reveal problems and solutions impacting our community.
One couple in Sparta, Georgia is fighting to keep acres of land that have been in their family for generations. It's because of a legal process that allows the government to take private property for public use.
Okay.
Driving across their nearly 600 acres.
Yeah, you can see a lot of little trees over there. You see the tops of them.
Never gets old for Blaine and Diane Smith. The history just as rich as the timber crops they've been farming.
We used to go down there. It's a special rock that we like to sit on.
My grandfather farmed it most of his life. He bought it back in the 1920s. Not one piece of it has gotten away.
Until this September.
It's my property. You know, you don't have the right to take.
But a private company does have the right to take it, according to the unanimous vote from the Georgia Public Service Commission. The agency, comprised of 5 elected officials, oversees eminent domain. Eminent domain, the right of a government or its agent to appropriate private property for public use with payment of compensation. In Georgia, the process starts by first condemning the site. The Georgia PSC members agreed private company Sandersville Railroad could legally condemn 9 properties in Sparta for the company's Hanson Spur project, a 4.5-mile spur connecting raw material producers to the CSX rail line in Hancock County. The company argues the train project will improve infrastructure, but the Smiths feel railroaded.
They're devaluing it.
They are just one of at least a dozen local eminent domain cases in recent years. A 2007 study revealed when eminent domain was used for private development, it most often impacted areas where more than half of the community was made up of people of color. Nearly half of the area's population sat below the poverty line. In the city of Sparta, where the developers are building the railroad, census records show 51% of residents live in poverty.
We're here in a county that really needs new opportunities, new job growth, new tax base.
The railroad company president, Ben Tarbutton.
Have an annual impact of $1.5 million.
That could make sense for a struggling town. However, Georgia law states economic development is not a justifiable reason to take property. It's not supposed to be factored into an eminent domain case.
Well, they go hand in hand. I talk about jobs because that's what really matters to folks.
The railroad's position is just that I'm a railroad. Obviously, I'm going to benefit you, and that's just not enough.
The attorney filed this appeal in Fulton County Superior Court, alleging the PSC improperly granted Sandersville's petition that the project is not economically feasible and may not be a legitimate public use.
The Institute for Justice is using this as a money-making venture for themselves.
Hundreds of acres for 100 years and one single lineage. Altering it in any way is a price of progress that's just too high for the Smiths.
I go back to what my father said, keep the land. The land gives you respect, gives you respectability.
Sierra, where does this case stand now?
Well, a Fulton County judge upheld a ruling granting Sandersville Railroad eminent domain power, but he also extended a partial stay blocking that company from starting construction while the appeals process is ongoing.
The Drug Enforcement Administration at airports across the nation searching innocent passengers for cash. After a 2-year-long Atlanta News First investigation, the Department of Justice issued an order to suspend the program nationwide.
You're either going to sign a consent form saying that you're allowing us to search them,
Whatever you guys are doing in this airport
or I'm going to detain them,
is totally wrong.
run my dog on it, and get a search warrant.
I'm a random search, guys.
I didn't feel like I could have said no.
So those white folks, and I'm the random search.
No, there's no way this is random.
Innocent passengers searched at the gate by plainclothes drug agents looking to seize cash.
You're taking people's money based off an assumption.
I work hard for my money.
How many innocent people do you have to search before you find what you're looking for?
Sir, I've got nothing to say to you.
The DEA still hasn't answered our questions, but this 2-year Atlanta News First investigation, why do people have to prove themselves innocent, would lead to a single incident that would end the entire program nationwide.
Oh, that's my, hey.
That's yours. Where's your bag at?
I don't consent to search, sir.
You don't have to consent. Where's your backpack at? Where is it? Under your seat?
It got put away, but I don't consent to being searched.
I don't care what your consent stuff.
Had you not seen our investigation, what would you have done?
I would have just assumed that it was part of a standard screening procedure and consented to the search.
David recorded the incident on the very same phone where he had watched our investigation in plain sight. He stopped recording only to double check the article so he could stand up for his rights. This particular passenger said no, did not give consent,
Correct.
And the task force officer removed his bag from the plane anyway.
And to do that, the agent needed reasonable suspicion.
The Inspector General of the U.S. Department of Justice reopened his investigation of the DEA's airport cold consent encounters after seeing the video David recorded.
Absent that video, there was no record of the incident.
When you buy a last minute ticket, we get alerts.
The Inspector General discovered David's last-minute ticket was reported to the DEA by an airline employee who was a regular paid informant. A single commercial airline employee received tens of thousands of dollars.
It turned out that the individual was getting a percentage of the amount seized on multiple occasions over a longer period of time.
Informants are being paid with confiscated property from searches that the informants triggered with no real evidence.
U.S. Senator John Ossoff of Georgia launched his own inquiry with the Department of Justice, citing the findings of our investigation. Senator Ossoff's inquiry and the Inspector General's report landed on the Attorney General's desk within days of each other.
It is a scathing description of serious deficiencies in this program that impact the constitutional rights of my constituents in Georgia. And I don't know whether without reporting from Atlanta News First, that would have come to light.
We are recommending, which is what we did in the report, immediately suspending these activities, which the department did.
This is the directive from the Deputy Attorney General of the U.S. Department of Justice, ordering the DEA to stop searching innocent passengers at departure gates nationwide. Now, at Hartsfield-Jackson and airports across the nation, there's no sign of plainclothes drug agents searching passengers at the boarding door. The agents appear to have departed. It's unclear if they'll ever return. Since our story aired, the DEA completely dismantled the program and reassigned the agents to international drug trafficking.
Every Georgia resident is paying the price for costly insurance coverage in high-crime neighborhoods. It's all because of a law that holds business owners responsible for crime that happens in and around their property.
Desperate times call for robot dogs. At least it's another security tool to stop crime at 445 Cleveland in Rosedale Heights.
Just people hearing about Beth. We haven't had car break-ins here in the last 2 months.
Beth can climb stairs, get across a property in about a minute, sound an alarm, and provide 360-degree camera views to security officers, among a few other tricks.
0% possibility of the conflict escalating. You can't have a gunfight with Beth. Beth can't shoot.
Deterring crime is key, but avoiding a serious injury and even death is crucial for property owner Avi Wolf because he can no longer get assault and battery coverage.
Insurance companies won't take the risk on us.
The risk Wolf's referring to is the possible lawsuit and payout the insurance company could face if sued under Georgia's premises liability law. It essentially holds a property owner accountable for crime that happens in and around the property based on past crimes in the area. The complex sits in Atlanta's District 12, the district with the highest number of crimes against people in the last year, according to Atlanta police data.
It's very well known. If you can't get proper insurance coverage, you don't want to live there, you don't want to operate there, you don't want to do business there.
But this is home for more than 30,000 people. According to Atlanta Regional Commission data, 80% of the district is black and about 60% of renters are cost-burdened.
Don't forget mask if you need mask.
445 Cleveland offers affordable and Section 8 housing with community resources like food and clothing drives.
Cost of living is skyrocketing, of course. If it wasn't for the VA, I would be struggling very bad.
Army veteran Danielle Glass tells me his car insurance premium is his biggest concern.
It's almost a $400 increase. To see some of the things that are hampering us is unbelievable.
District 12 City Councilman Antonio Lewis says the current laws are not only hurting businesses, but keeping vital resources from the community.
Anybody who knows me knows how bad that I want a grocery store over here. We live in a food desert.
Grocers, have they said specifically they can't come because of insurance?
Well, they count rooftops. The thing I know about my community, we have rooftops. The only thing we're having the issue with right now is the price of not land, it's the price of insurance.
The search for hospitals in South Atlanta shows a similar scarcity.
But hospital systems are saying, we can't afford this.
Georgia Insurance Commissioner John King says people are entitled to sue if they're injured, but it should never be comparable to winning the lottery.
Insurance was created to get you back on your feet, to fix your damage, to fix any injuries that you had, but it was never made for you people to become rich overnight.
And Governor Brian Kemp agrees.
Georgia needs tort reform, and they need it now.
Announcing a package to amend the laws, including limiting premises liability to what a property owner can directly control and setting damages at the actual cost of medical bills. But some lawmakers fear these reforms will only help insurance companies.
Insurance industries are always trying to figure out ways to maximize their profit.
Are there any changes that you would propose to this package?
Sure. I would focus less on the courts and more on the insurance industry themselves.
To dig deeper into this investigation and others from Atlanta News First Investigates, listen to our Behind the Investigation podcast, available now wherever you listen.
Before being convicted of a crime, a defendant must be mentally competent to stand trial. We found backlogs in court-ordered competency evaluations, often delaying justice.
Listen carefully and adjust. Can we go back to measure 41? Really listen, try to tune. 3 and 4.
A community band prepares a piece to remember an old friend, Bill Haynes.
He was a great conductor. If he needed to give you some criticism, he did it in a way that was joking, that you didn't feel like he was making fun of you.
A longtime music teacher who taught at E. Rivers Elementary in Atlanta.
Ready, go.
This was Bill's classroom. A calling and education, following in his mother's footsteps.
He said, I see why you like it, Mom. He said, those kids were so great, and I don't think he ever stopped feeling that way.
A life full of music that came to a sudden stop. 8 days before Christmas in 2016, when police say a man with a knife attacked Bill inside the Sandy Springs storage facility. His mother, Kate, learned about her son's death from a police chaplain at her Kentucky home.
He said Bill was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I just looked at him and I said, no. I said, Bill didn't go to wrong places.
Cobb County Police immediately made an arrest. Justin Paul Hess. Investigators say he killed his own mother the same day, charged and indicted for both murders. But nearly 8 years later, the 39-year-old has never been convicted of a crime. Legally innocent, yet in the sheriff's custody because doctors say he's not competent to stand trial.
If you've got something smart to say,
It's about time you pull up a seat.
These are videos of Justin posted on YouTube before his arrest.
We have some tyrants around here that need some dealing with.
Are you out here exercising your constitutional rights, sir?
Yes, sir. In one video, you can hear Justin speak with officers after someone saw him walking with an assault rifle. He clearly articulates his gun rights and Georgia law.
You're not planning on going to any grocery stores or anything of that place and doing anything?
No, sir. I will not be entering any private or federal businesses.
Thank you, sir.
Just trying to advertise, show people that not everyone exercising their rights or with a firearm is a Looney Tune.
I think that's one of the most important videos in everything he did.
It shows to you that
he knew better.
He was at the Central State Hospital.
Cobb County District Attorney Flynn Brody.
That he can be confident to defend himself in court. He may be gaming the system because he's smart enough to know the law, which means he's smart enough to follow the law, know right from wrong, and aid in his defense.
They say a good conductor keeps their musicians moving forward through a performance. For Bill's bandmates and mother, moving forward right now feels impossible.
It's been too long. It's been too long for Bill's mother. I can only imagine how terrible that's been.
I mean, I want to see a jury listen and pronounce a decision.
Georgia law does not allow or require banks to stop transactions even if you're being financially exploited. An elderly man drained his bank account before his family realized he was scammed.
The Lord be with you.
Loris Sinanian is a deacon at St. Francis of Assisi in Blairsville. At 93, he still leads Mass. Here he is on Christmas Eve.
Glory to you, Lord.
Loris needs his faith now more than ever.
This is my wife.
He lost his wife, Peggy, a few months ago, and he lost his life savings to an internet scam.
That somehow they got into my computer. And when they got into my computer, they also got into my bank account.
Phase 1, the call. In October 2023, Loris received a call from a man who claimed to be an old friend. The caller said he owed $100 and wanted to deposit the money into Loris's bank account. Next, he conned Loris into giving him remote access to his computer, where he made it appear like he accidentally deposited $100,000 instead of $100.
Obviously, you believed him.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, what else am I going to do? Because I see the money's in my account.
The scam's endgame is to convince victims to return the overpayment.
He was telling you, I'm going to get fired. He was pulling every heartstring of yours.
Yeah.
I'm a business guy. I can't lose my job. I need your help.
Phase 2 convinces victims to go to their bank and make a series of cash withdrawals. Loris, then 92, drove himself to United Community Bank in downtown Blairsville, where he wrote himself a check for $10,000 cash. From there, Loris's daughter says the scammer instructed him to drive to another branch and then a third in Blue Ridge. $30,000 on day one. He wrote himself 10 checks over 10 days, totaling $109,000.
1023, $10,000 cleared on the 23rd.
This is kind of like, oh my.
1023, $10,000.
On day 10, bank records show a United Community teller got suspicious when Loris made another $30,000 withdrawal. So she made him sign a release and made a note about his explanation. Home improved and daughter has cancer, helping her. Loris's daughter says the scammer coached her dad to lie.
I was freaking out. I was very concerned.
Phase 3. Here's where it gets really crazy, because by the time the family got suspicious, the scammer convinced Loris to stuff $109,000 cash into boxes of books. He used FedEx and UPS to overnight the shipments to a New York City address. He paid $300 to $400 a shipment. But it's not all gone. The family got police in New York City to intercept the final shipment at FedEx. They recovered $37,000 cash, but the rest, $72,000, is gone.
Reading from the Holy Gospel.
At 93, Loris has faith and a 2-word sermon for anyone who receives an anonymous call from an old friend. Hang up.
You can find more of our impactful investigations on AtlantaNewsFirst.com and on our app.
We do this for you, uncovering the truth and holding the powerful accountable. Thanks for watching Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First Investigate.